Rai believed he already knew enough. He was not proud in a loud way. He did not shout. He did not argue. But inside his mind, he often closed the door too fast. When he heard a topic he had studied before, he thought, I know this already. When someone spoke slowly, he felt bored. When a lesson felt simple, he stopped listening. One quiet morning, Rai sat alone in a small room. A book lay open on the table. It was a book he had tried to read many times before. Each time, he quit after a few pages. He told himself the same excuse, this is basic. There is nothing new here for me. That morning felt different. The room was silent. No phone. No noise. Just the book and his thoughts. Rai read one line. Then he stopped. Not because he was bored, but because one word felt strange. He had read it before, many times. But this time, it felt like the word was asking him a question. The narrator explains gently, this was the first moment of Shoshin. Shoshin is a Japanese idea. It means beginner's mind. It means staying open. It means learning like you are new, even when you are not. Rai did not know this word yet. But he felt its meaning. For years, Rai believed learning was about adding more. More books. More videos. More skills. But that morning, he felt a strange idea enter his mind. What if learning is not about adding? What if it is about opening? Rai closed the book and leaned back. His mind traveled to the past. He remembered how he learned as a child. He asked many questions. He listened with wide eyes. He did not rush to judge. He did not say, I already know this. Somewhere along the way, that child disappeared. Later that day, Rai met an old teacher in a small park. The teacher was calm. He spoke slowly. He watched people more than he talked. Rai asked him a simple question. How can I learn faster? The teacher smiled, not answering right away. He picked up a small stone from the ground and turned it in his hand. First, the teacher said, learn to slow down. Rai felt confused. But the world is fast, he replied. If I slow down, I will fall behind. The teacher placed the stone on a bench. A cup already full cannot take more water, he said. An empty cup can. Rai stayed quiet. The teacher continued. Tomorrow, when you listen to someone, do one thing. Do not judge. Do not interrupt. Just listen for 5 full minutes. 5 minutes? Rai asked. That's it? The teacher nodded. That is enough to open the door. The next day, Rai tried the experiment. He played a podcast he had ignored before. The speaker sounded simple. Almost too simple. Rai felt the old habit rise inside him. I know this. But he remembered the teacher's words. He stayed. 1 minute passed. 2 minutes. By the 3rd minute, something changed. The speaker shared a small story. Rai had never heard it before. It was not big. It was not deep. But it connected 2 ideas Rai had kept separate in his mind. Rai paused the podcast. His heart beat faster. He realized something important. The problem was not the lesson. The problem was his closed mind. That night, Rai wrote one sentence in his notebook. Today, I learned because I stayed open. Days passed. Rai repeated the same rule again and again. 5 minutes. No judgment. No rush. Slowly, learning began to feel different. Books felt alive. Conversations felt deeper. Even silence started to teach him something. Rai noticed another change too. He became calmer. When he did not understand something, he did not feel angry. He felt curious. One evening, Rai returned to the same book from that quiet morning. He opened the page he had once skipped many times. This time, he read slowly. One paragraph held him still. The words were simple. But the meaning was strong. It said, "The moment you think you know, learning stops." Rai felt a shock inside. He understood why his growth had slowed. He had mistaken experience for wisdom. He had mistaken speed for intelligence. That night, Rai made a promise to himself. I will choose to be a beginner again. But he also felt fear. Being a beginner meant feeling small. It meant asking questions. It meant accepting mistakes. Could he really live like this every day? As Rai closed his notebook, he noticed something strange. A small idea formed in his mind, a simple daily action that could protect this beginner's mind. It looked too small to matter. But Rai did not know yet, this tiny practice would change the way he learned forever. To be continued in Part 2, the small daily ritual that keeps the beginner's mind alive. Rai woke up before sunrise. The room was quiet. The air felt fresh. For a moment, he lay still and listened to his own breath. His mind wanted to rush ahead, plans, worries, tasks. But he remembered the promise he made the night before. I will choose to be a beginner again. Rai sat up and opened his notebook. The page from yesterday stared back at him. Today, I learned because I stayed open. He smiled softly. But a question slowly entered his mind. How long will this feeling last? Rai knew himself well. Motivation often came fast and left even faster. Many times before, he felt inspired for a day or two, then returned to old habits. He did not want Shoshin to become just another good idea. He needed something simple. Something small. Something he could do even on tired days. Later that morning, Rai met the old teacher again. They walked slowly in the park. Birds moved between the trees. People passed by without noticing them. Rai spoke first. I understand the beginner's mind, he said. But I am afraid I will forget it. The teacher nodded, as if he expected this question. Curiosity dies when it has no home, the teacher said. You must give it a small place to live. A place? Rai asked. A ritual, the teacher replied. Rai frowned. Big routines never work for me, he said. The teacher smiled. Then do not make it big. He stopped walking and drew a small circle on the ground with his foot. Your ritual must be so small that your mind cannot refuse it. That day, Rai chose his ritual. It was very simple. Before learning anything, reading, listening, watching, Rai would ask one question. What can I notice here that I did not notice before? That was it. No long plans. No pressure. Just one question. Rai tested it that same day. He opened a short article online. Normally, he would scan it quickly. This time, he paused. He asked the question. Then he read slowly. He noticed the writer's tone. He noticed a small example he had skipped before. He noticed how one sentence connected to his own life. The article did not change. Rai did. In the evening, Rai added a second tiny action. After finishing any learning session, he wrote one line. One thing that surprised me today was. Sometimes the surprise was small. Sometimes it was deep. But writing it down made it real. Days turned into a week. The ritual stayed small, but its effect grew. Rai felt more present. He stopped jumping between lessons. He listened longer. He noticed when his ego tried to close the door. Still, life tested him. One afternoon, Rai had to present his ideas in front of others. He prepared well. He used his rituals. He felt ready. But when he stood up to speak, something went wrong. His words felt tangled. His voice shook. Someone interrupted him with a sharp question. Rai froze. The room felt heavy. Old feelings rushed back, shame, fear, anger. Maybe I am not good at this, his mind whispered. After the meeting, Rai walked alone. His chest felt tight. He questioned everything. Was Shoshin just a comfort? Does curiosity really help in the real world? That night, Rai almost skipped his notebook. Almost. But he remembered the teacher's words, your ritual must be so small that your mind cannot refuse it. He opened the notebook and wrote one line. One thing that surprised me today was how fast fear returned. He stopped. Then he added another sentence. And how much I can still learn from it. Something shifted inside him. Rai realized an important truth. The ritual was not there to protect him from failure. It was there to help him learn from it. The next day, Rai watched his presentation recording. Normally, he avoided such things. This time, he watched with a beginner's mind. He did not attack himself. He observed. He noticed one small habit he could improve. Just one. That felt enough. A few days later, Rai saw a stranger watching him write in his notebook at a cafe. You write after you fail, the stranger said. Rai looked up, surprised. Yes, he replied. It helps me learn. The stranger nodded slowly. Good, he said. Most people run from that moment. Rai felt curious. The stranger leaned closer. If you truly want to keep the beginner's mind, he said, you must learn to walk toward failure, not away from it. Rai felt a mix of fear and interest. What do you mean? He asked. The stranger smiled. I will show you, he said. But first, you must stop judging mistakes as enemies. Rai closed his notebook. He sensed that his journey was about to change. Shoshin was no longer just about staying open. It was about facing failure with calm eyes. And Rai was about to learn how. Rai could not stop thinking about the stranger's words. Walk toward failure, not away from it. For most of his life, Rai had done the opposite. When he failed, he hid. When he made a mistake, he rushed to forget it. He believed failure meant weakness. But now, something inside him felt ready to change. The next morning, Rai met the stranger again at the same cafe. The man sat calmly, holding a cup of tea. His eyes were sharp but kind. You came, the stranger said. Rai nodded. You said failure can teach, he replied. I want to understand. The stranger placed the cup down slowly. Most people fail twice, he said. First in action. Second in the mind. Rai frowned. What does that mean? The first failure is normal, the stranger explained. The second is optional. It happens when you attack yourself. Rai felt those words deeply. The stranger continued. A beginner does not ask, why am I so bad? A beginner asks, what did I not see? That question stayed with Rai. Later that day, Rai faced a small failure. He tried to learn a new skill online. After 30 minutes, he felt confused and slow. His old habit returned. You are wasting time. Rai paused. He took a breath. Then he opened his notebook and wrote a new line. I did not see. He stopped. At first, his mind went blank. Then slowly, words came. I did not see the basic step clearly. That was all. No anger. No blame. Just truth. Rai noticed something surprising. The moment he stopped attacking himself, his mind became calm. Calm made space. Space made learning possible. Days passed. Rai used the same sentence after every mistake. I did not see. Sometimes the answer was simple. Sometimes it was uncomfortable. But every time, it moved him forward. One evening, Rai failed in front of others again. This time, the feeling was different. The fear came, but it did not stay. He listened. He observed. He learned. Afterward, the old teacher from the park met him once more. "You look lighter," the teacher said. "I still fail," Rai replied. "But it does not crush me now." The teacher nodded. "Because you stopped making failure about your identity," he said. "You made it about information." That night, Rai understood a deep truth. Failure is not the opposite of learning. It is the doorway. But one door still remained closed. Rai noticed that even when he learned from failure, some habits stayed stuck. Certain skills refused to improve. No matter how open his mind was, progress felt slow. He shared this problem with the stranger. The stranger listened carefully. "You are practicing from the wrong side," he said. Rai looked confused. "There is a right side and a wrong side?" The stranger smiled. "Most people start from the beginning," he said. "A beginner sometimes starts from the end." Rai felt curious. The stranger leaned forward. "If you want to keep Shoshin alive," he said, "you must learn to practice in reverse." "Reverse?" Rai repeated. "Yes," the stranger said. "Start where you struggle most. Not where you feel safe." Rai felt a mix of fear and excitement. Failure had already taught him how to stay calm. Now it was pointing him toward a new method. A method that felt uncomfortable. A method that promised real growth. That night, Rai opened his notebook and wrote. "Failure showed me what I could not see." Below it, he added another line. "Now I am ready to face the hardest part first." Rai closed the notebook. He knew the next step would challenge him deeply. But for the first time, he did not run. He smiled. Rai stood at his desk, staring at the task he had been avoiding for months. It was the hardest part of a skill he wanted to master. Usually, he started with the easy steps. Today, he tried something different. "Start where it hurts," he whispered to himself. The stranger's words echoed in his mind. Practice the hardest part first. That is where true learning begins. Rai took a deep breath and divided the challenge into tiny sections. He practiced only the toughest piece, no shortcuts, no comfort. Mistakes came quickly. His hands stumbled. His mind argued. But he kept going, one small step at a time. After 20 minutes, something remarkable happened. The part that had always blocked him began to make sense. The difficulty shrank. He noticed patterns he had never seen. He realized that the hard part was actually a combination of smaller, simpler parts. Slowly, the walls of fear and doubt started to crumble. Rai added another rule: short, focused sessions. 15 to 20 minutes of deep practice without distractions. No phone, no interruptions, just full attention. Each session ended with one question in his notebook. What did I see today that I missed before? The answer surprised him. He saw small habits, hidden mistakes, even fears dressed as logic. Each insight made the next session easier. Rai felt sharper. Calmer. More alive. Not everyone understood the change. Some friends pulled away, uncomfortable with his intense focus and questions. Rai noticed it but kept practicing. He knew growth often separates those ready from those clinging to comfort. The climax came when Rai faced his hardest challenge in public. Fear returned, but he did not run. He tackled the hardest part first, stayed present, adjusted his mistakes quickly. When it was over, Rai felt calm and honest with himself. Not proud, not perfect, just present. The stranger met him afterward. "Do you see now?" he asked. Reverse practice keeps the beginner alive. Honesty creates focus, Rai replied. That night, Rai wrote in his notebook. Shoshin is not just a tool. It is a way of living. One question remained. Can I carry this beginner's mind into every part of life? The final test was coming, and it would demand he live Shoshin, not just practice it. Rai woke early. The morning air was cool and still. Today was important. The test he had been preparing for would challenge not just his skills, but his mindset. He remembered everything he had learned, tiny rituals, failure notes, reverse practice, deep focus. Now it was time to live it all at once. He sat quietly, notebook open, and repeated his morning ritual. One question: what can I notice that I have not noticed before? The answer came gently: the day itself is a teacher. Rai walked into the room where the test would take place. Others were confident, some nervous. He felt a quiet calm. Instead of racing through steps, he observed. Instead of judging himself, he watched. Every detail mattered: the sounds, the gestures, the rhythm of the tasks. He treated each step as a beginner would, curious, alert, open. The challenge began. Hard questions came. Unfamiliar problems appeared. Normally, Rai would panic or rush. This time, he paused. He tackled the hardest part first. He took short, focused bursts. Each mistake became a clue. Each surprise became a lesson. His notebook, his rituals, and his mind worked together seamlessly. A crucial moment arrived, a problem that seemed impossible. Rai closed his eyes briefly. He remembered the stranger's words: start where it hurts. Opening his eyes, he broke the problem into smaller steps. He noticed patterns, connections, and details others ignored. One solution became clear. He acted carefully, steadily, and finished with confidence, not pride. After the test, Rai reflected. Success was not about being the fastest or perfect. It was about learning, noticing, and staying open. His Shoshin practice had transformed the pressure into curiosity. Later, he met the stranger one last time. You carried the beginner's mind into the real world, the stranger said. You see the gift now, don't you? Rai smiled. Yes, he said. Learning is not about proving myself. It is about living each moment fully, seeing what I never saw before. The gift of Shoshin was clear: joy in learning, calm in challenges, curiosity in every interaction. Life became an endless teacher, and Rai became a student again and again. Rai wrote one final entry in his notebook. I do not know everything. I will never stop learning. And that is the greatest gift. From that day forward, every task, every challenge, and every failure was an opportunity. He embraced life with the heart of a beginner. The story ends, but the lesson continues: Shoshin is not just a skill, it is a way of life.